There we go. All right. Takes a little bit of effort to get started sometimes. Hello, and welcome to the Jeff Fishing Vlog. We're live. We're out here on the Candleton Dam, Indiana side of the river. It may get a little loud here in a few minutes. We got a barge coming by. Usually the barges coming by are really good for fish biting. I have a live moon eye shad on, skipjack head, skipjack cut bait. We lost one on a whole live bluegill earlier. Today I am here with one of my favorite fishing partners, Spencer. Say hi, Spencer. We gotta speak nice and loud. So remember, we're talking to the people over there.
Yeah.
Right? Right? All right. Today we're going to talk about probably a little something about SummerSlam. You watch any wrestling?
I do occasionally.
Occasionally. I like that. I watch pretty often, but I'm not afraid to miss one every now and then. I'm not a super diehard. We're going to talk about that. The Olympics are happening. We're going to discuss some Olympic stuff. I wrote some of these topics down so I don't forget in the moment. We have, going to talk about, I posted on Facebook not long ago about, this past week I posted about putting together a playlist for fishing songs, and quite a few people had given suggestions, so I'm going to share some of those suggestions with you. Of course, there's always the obvious ones. But first, let me see here. We want to bring it up on here, I think. What are you doing, Spence? We getting a bite? He's getting ready for action. Just watching. I like just watching. It's all right. There we go. All right. So I'm going to try and speak loud enough where I can speak over this barge. And if we get a bite, we're going to stop. We're going to do it. Spencer's going to try and be really smooth about turning that camera angle around. If it's me, I'm going to try and be pretty smooth about it. I've got, like I said, I have 3 rods set up here. I'm going to let Spencer get the middle rod. I've got the 2 outside rods. The middle rod will be super easy. All he's got to do is just, when the rod's bending over and that fish is running, all he's got to do is reel it. It's got one of those circle hooks on it. So it should be pretty easy hookup. As I was scanning through Google the other day, just looking at news stories, and I happened upon a news story from Wired to Fish. Oh, what are we doing, Jeff? I'll try and watch this. So, apparently in Ohio, where is it? It's Missouri. The Missouri state record, what was it, a big head carp?
Big head carp, 92 pounds was it?
92, let's see, I got it wrote down here. 97-pound big head carp caught by, caught by 78-year-old George Chance. Now, we want to give George all the credit in the world for not only being 78 and still being out on the water, but catching and landing 78-pound fish. And not only did he catch it, but he caught it on a big old crankbait. So, like, my question is, I just wonder if George was out, like, bass fishing or just fishing for anything, because it'd be a heck of a surprise if I was out bass fishing and I hooked into a fish that was about 100 pounds. That'd be pretty wild. I do know of a story, about to get loud. I do know of a story on the Kankakee River. Now, this goes back oh, probably almost 30 years. This woman was out fishing with her family's young woman. I think she's about 19. When I read it in an article, I didn't know. Anyway, she's fishing for bluegills on the Kankakee River with a beam off and hooks into like a 48-inch northern pike. Could you imagine? That's pretty wild. You know, that's pretty wild. Now, George, they were saying in this article, they were saying that I guess he hasn't bought a fishing lure in years. And all he does is when the water goes down, he'll just go and spend a full day going around collecting fishing lures that have got caught up in trees and stumps and that sort of thing. If you've got the time to do it. I mean, the retired man of 78 on a fixed income, we hear that barge? Pretty loud. Pretty loud. Why don't you flip that around and let them watch that barge for a minute? They still ain't going to buy stuff. No, just, hey, you got it. I can figure it out.
I'll drop you.
Tighten that one up too.
Yeah, probably.
We like the barges. That is exactly how, you know, when I'm on the river and I get lights, it's almost always because of the barge. Hey, we got viewers on here. Hey, Chandler,
16.
Celtics. There's Jesse Wu. Oh, what's that? Jeremiah. Well, we've mostly just been catching bait.
Yep, mainly bait. Hopefully we'll catch.
Caught a real small bluegill. We lost one on it. We've caught a couple moon eye shad. On the cut bait and the moon eye shad, we've had some real good bites, but I'm almost assuming that those were gar. Like it ran with it, but by the time I started touching the reel, you know, I went to pick the reel up, you know, it got off. It had stopped the run. Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and flip that back around until we get some action going. Push that action here in just a minute, I think. This is kind of something new that doing it this way, because I've been trying to have the camera set up on the side where it can watch the reels, but I've noticed on some of the replays that anytime we look away from the camera, it's hard to hear anything. And I've got to watching, I don't know if anybody out there is David Kill Tony fans, but David Lucas from Kill Tony has his own fishing channel. And this is the style that he uses, although admittedly, he is out there with guests of varying fame. You know, some of them are a little more famous than others, but and they talk a little bit of fishing, and they're just out there bluegill fishing. I like it okay. You know, I'll watch it. I don't watch a lot of fishing channels. If there's something I'm wanting to learn, I'll watch. But I really enjoy, podcasts and listening to the conversations. So that's a nice mix, and I think that's probably, as far as doing the lives go, I think that's probably more of the style I want to go for from now on. That's really kind of what I was shooting for, but I've just never quite settled in on it. We're doing that starting today. We're gonna figure it out, ain't we, Spence?
Yes, we are.
Spencer has a bit of news, if it's okay for me to bring that up. Got a little bit of your future planned?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do?
So, I'm going into AD program the rest of this year. Hopefully, I can get it done by January. And the reason I'm going for this is because by next summer, I plan on signing up for the U.S. military.
Heck yeah, we like it. We like the military kids. Pretty brave. It's always a terrible time to sign up, man. The way things are going nowadays, you never know what the future's going to hold. I was telling Spencer that when I lived in Indianapolis, I knew a kid that graduated, that took his GED as soon as he was able to take it. Immediately went to a tech school, and when his friends were graduating, I believe he was an electrician. I don't think it was heating and air, but he graduated and immediately got a job making like 50, 60 grand a year. You know, just as soon as he turned 18, while his other friends were just graduating high school, he had a pretty good career in it. Liked the kid a lot. He was fairly smart, but he wasn't brainy. You know, he was just he was for real about making money.
Had common sense.
It helps whenever you have, not everybody has that idea in mind, and it's not necessarily right for everybody to skip the last 2 years of high school. It is right for some people. I'm glad I went my last 2 years of high school. I never got to play football or do some of the things that I got to do that have always been real fun. So, we covered Mr. George and his 97-pound cart.
Yep.
Big head cart. That's wild.
78-year-olds do.
78, well, not all 78-year-olds are crazy. Some of them 78-year-olds are still out there getting around. Some of the 78-year-olds are, you know, plenty of us don't make it to 78. And it's nice when they, well, I want to say Charlie, my father-in-law, we were probably fishing together into his late 70s. Had to have been. I mean, you know, God rest his soul, Charlie was a great man. You know, really was. But he was fishing pretty late.
I can only hope that. Once I'm up to get off fishing.
Right? I do have a question for anybody that's still watching or picks it up or watches it after the fact. We're fishing today in the 80s. We had a real light rain. It's not overly humid today. My question is at what temperature outside do you absolutely refuse to go fishing? And I'd say if Jesse's still on here, he probably doesn't have a temperature that he would refuse. I could be wrong. He's pretty hardcore.
It really depends. Do I have work that day?
If you have work that day, you're not going.
Temperature doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Nope. If I have work that day, then I'm gonna. Oh, it's too hot. Can't go to work. I'll go fishing.
Too hot for work, but not too hot for fishing. That is definitely not how we were raised. If you can do anything, you're going to school and you're going to work. If you can't go to school or go to work, you're not doing anything. It's worse than being grounded. They didn't even want you watching TV. Mom and Dad were pretty good. That was all right. You know, a lot of coddling is not really good for a person. You know, going through, I don't like forced hard times, but a lot of times the hard times, you know, that's when you grow. You don't really grow in the easy times. You grow after you've been through some stuff. Like sitting on the riverbank too often and not catching any fish.
It grows something called
It's starting to grow old. Okay, I'm ready to get the skunk off, even though, you know, I caught a moon-eye shad. I actually caught something, but it's, you know, I like them interruptions of them catfish. It don't have to be a 30 pounder. I'd be all right with 5 or 10, make me real happy. 2 would be better than none. You know, some's better than none. A 2-pounder would be better than none. Is what I'd have to say. You went fishing got to go fishing the other day with your dad?
Yep, we were fishing up by the pond area up in
Yeah,
Fairview.
the Y pond, yeah.
Went out there. We kind of got out there late because his truck decided to blow a gas line. So.
And power through and still went fishing anyway.
Yeah.
I like that part. You know, you don't just because you got a little adversity, like you don't know where your bank card is, somebody doesn't have a fishing license for the state that you're in. You don't necessarily let that adversity. that's how our day started. Is I went somewhere, went to pull out my bank card. My bank card wasn't in my wallet. I'm sure I misplaced it in my truck somewhere. Come on now, we're gonna get a bite or what? But you know, with as easy it is with the apps, I moved money around. No money was missing, and had Deb call the bank and order a new bank card for me, cancel the old one, and order the new one. Speaking of Deb, my wife's name is Deborah or Debbie, and now that we have tropical storm or Hurricane Debbie out on the East Coast, she says that the way that they spell, excuse me, is not the way that she spells Debbie, and she will not be owning any of that hurricane. She don't want to take no guff over it. So, that hurricane, it's not her fault, and it's not her name. And it's funny that she said that. I have one of the worst hurricanes that I remember is Hurricane Katrina. I think Katrina is the one that hit New Orleans, and the septic system fell, or however they pumped the water out of New Orleans, it failed, and many people died. This is quite a few years ago. Whoa, there's one right there. I like it. That's probably one of them big head carp, though.
Yeah.
It definitely, hell, it might have been one of those black carp. Kind of looked like, did you see it?
Yeah, it's
It looked like the black carp that you caught, right?
yeah.
I would say so. I don't think it was wasn't a catfish. That's all right. We'll take one of them carp, too. I'm not picky. You just want to catch something. Something a little bigger than a moon eye shad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what? Yeah. The only thing that I've caught today, caught it on accident. I was just reeling in my line. Let's see. We got anything else going on here? Probably when the water is frozen. That's right. I knew Jesse'd enjoy the hot water, the hot weather. If it's in the hundreds, if I can't be in the shade, I don't know. With the way my work schedule is, usually the day that I pick to fish, I'm fishing that day. You know, when we left Rockport, it was raining pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, so I was going and was just gonna hope that the rain let up or whatever. But if it's legit in the hundreds, which I've fished in the hundreds before, I'm probably gonna think twice. You know, not in the best of shape, but I'm starting to get to that age where guys like me will have a heart attack. So I kind of got to think about what I'm willing to put myself through.
If I'm fishing in the upper 90s, then I'll chase that fish and I'll make sure I get out to the water too. I don't mind.
It's the Ohio River. Ain't nothing stopping you but fear and air getting in the dang water. You know, fear, air, and common sense. A lot of people don't like the idea of swimming in the Ohio River. We got plenty of stuff going on. Well, that was some fish moving. Yeah, it was just them little minnows you were seeing earlier. They were moving. Hell, have a seat with me, Spence. We're waiting on big ones. We're not worried about catching no more little ones.
They're scratching my head.
Yeah, they're getting you ready to pick up that Sabatini rig. I am using skipjack today, and I want to thank the people over at Brett's Bait Company. Now, anytime I'm mentioning somebody on there, I have no paid advertisers at this point. So any bait shops or any other program, any other fishing people that I'm mentioning on here, it's not it's not paid promotion. It's just I appreciate. I thought that they were pretty good, and I want to pass it on to anybody in the area. But I bought some frozen skipjack from Brett's Bait Company. Brett's BRETZ company, and they were great to deal with. Really was. Which I know Matthew's dad. I worked with him for years, and I'm pretty sure I'd worked with Matthew or met him out there at work a few times. But just want to throw that out there. He gave me the hookup on some skipjack. Love being able to fish with skipjack. Love using whole live bluegills, which we've got to do. We've had bites on everything today, but just no hookups. That's it. That's it for that, right?
Fish are watching the wave.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised we ain't had one after that March just went by. Because the last time all the rods started going off. It was getting a bit hectic. So when was the last time you watched wrestling? Been the last month or two?
I mean, I watch a little bit of Friends, stuff like that. I don't deeply watch it though. So.
You're pretty hip to Roman Reigns lost at WrestleMania and,
Yeah.
and he disappeared for a while. And his buddy Solo Sikoa started his own bloodline, and at SummerSlam wrestled Cody Rhodes for the title. Bloodline rules match, which I don't know. That just means there's going to be lots of interference, I assume. Actually didn't watch SummerSlam, but I guess Roman Reigns come back and saved the day for Cody and knocked his own little cousin out, let Cody pin him for the belt. Well, one of the cool things that happened was the Judgment Day broke up, or they actually expelled a couple of their members, which was pretty cool. They had this is one of the things I see on Facebook a lot. People arguing about wrestling is that they're complaining about the storyline between Dominic, the love triangle between Dominic and Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. They're like, that's not wrestling. It really is wrestling. That's what wrestling's always been. Is they just tell stories. That's really what wrestling's always been. It's whether it's fighting over money or fighting over girls or fighting over cars, or you bumped into me in the locker room. They're all about the machismo. Fighting for fighting over that stuff. I enjoyed it on Monday night. Chuck and I, my brother-in-law Chuck, we're going to Monday Night Raw in September, and I was, from what it's been the last several weeks, I was really hoping they'd have some new storylines by the time September rolled around, and it looks like they will. Sorry, I may have to just quit watching between now and September, so I don't know. So whatever they do is new, to where it's not so stale or whatever. Something like that. We're still on here. Yeah, the common sense thing, Melissa, and I appreciate you watching. Melissa is one of my biggest supporters. Man, I appreciate Melissa. She's really she's really done a lot for the channel for what she can do. She does everything she can. She shared, she's always sharing it. She's commenting. She's spreading the word. She's getting me new subscribers. I need about 10. Man, if I had 10 Melissas, this thing would just blow up. I don't know if I'm ready for the blow up yet, but we're just out here having fun right now. I have noticed, man, people are just. I'm never going to understand people. If we're having lunch, if we're in the break room together, if I'm working, and we're in the break room together eating lunch. Now, granted, I don't have break rooms nowadays, but I've seen it to where, like, I would bring in a bologna sandwich, and I'm sitting there eating my bologna sandwich, minding my own business, and then somebody in the break room would be like, I don't like bologna sandwiches. Well, nobody's asking you to eat it. And the internet, Facebook and stuff is just full of that stuff. Can you, and if a person has something useful to contribute to the conversation, I never mind. It doesn't bother me that somebody has an opposing opinion. I just like for them to say something articulate with that opposing opinion. Say something valid. Say something that's useful. Say something, type something down there that's going to, help the whole group. That whenever you read it, you're just not like, well, all they done was just insult somebody, and it wasn't even a clever insult. Hell, if you're going to insult somebody, at least be clever. You know, don't just say, that's stupid. Oh, wow, you really contributed to the conversation by typing that that's stupid. Or, he's a Nazi. You're not contributing to the conversation. You're just bringing out more hate. And I see so many people that all this came up because I'd seen a post about John Calipari, former Kentucky coach. And I really want to be careful about saying this too loud, because if Facebook hears me, then all of a sudden I'm going to start getting a lot of Arkansas advertisements for the Arkansas Razorbacks and their news on my Facebook feed, which I don't want to see anymore. Because, being a big Kentucky fan, I guess Facebook assumes that you want to keep up with all things John Calipari, which is not true. But there's this article written, had a ton of responses about how many Kentucky fans still dislike John Calipari, and their, how their hate has traveled to this next team. Well, yes, it's a bass boat. So that one went slack a little bit. We might have something going on here in a minute. Oh yeah, it's a little bass boat. That's kind of I need to get. But the thing is that article's a bit one-sided, because there's plenty of Kentucky fans that are not still hating on John Calipari. There's plenty of them that appreciate his years that when he was there. All coaches are going to have good years and bad years. Even Duke has lost in the first round a few times. I would rather Kentucky do better than Duke. I'd rather Kentucky be the standard than Duke be the standard. But it is what it is. And UConn is trying to become the standard, and I don't like that at all. But it's so easy to just focus on that negative when there's so much positive out there. I think there's a line or two about that in the Bible, isn't there? About one candle eliminates the darkness. That it only takes one candle, and you get rid of the darkness. Something like that. So, don't let all that negativity weigh you down. I know the political season is going to start ramping up. I know it's not going to happen, obviously, for lots of people. But I think we need to try and come to a place in this world, in this country, that we can at least treat each other's opposing opinions with respect. And just know that just because somebody's not voting for the party that you're voting for, that they don't hate this country. That, I don't know what to tell you. If you can look and see where that side has a few positives, you can see it. Both sides, both sides are always going to have negatives. Both sides are always going to have positives. I would rather this country stay together and us prosper, and our children prosper, and grandchildren prosper. We might have some stuff going on. I see some lines there, a little slackety slack. Hey, I'm going to get up and tighten up a few of these lines. You want to keep these people company while I do this? You got something to say?
I'm trying to figure something out.
Figure something out, Spencer.
No.
If you ain't got nothing to say, you can stand up and do like an Irish jig or something. Make Chuck proud.
So, I can probably tell a few jokes.
Yep, let's hear a joke, as long as it's not too dirty.
No, not fishing jokes.
All right, I like it.
See, I called into work today, told my boss my arm was in a cast. My boss called me again, so I just put him on the other line.
One more.
What do you think? I had one more, I can't think of it now.
Can't think of it now? One more?
About the reels. I can't think of it now. Get the line, the cast, and the one about the reels.
All right. Well, when I talk about the fishing playlist, I know what your answer is immediately. I need to put something on there that's catchy. Right?
Something sketchy.
Something catchy. What else do we got on our list? I wonder how long I've been on. It doesn't tell me how long I've been on here. We'll keep going anyway. We got some more stuff to talk about. Oh, I did not mention, but I thought it was interesting. George Chance. Yeah, that's definitely Chance. It's from Festus, Missouri. I think my dad and my Uncle Roger, I think they don't like that Festus. Oh, yeah. They were, what was Festus on? Do you know who Festus is?
I do not know.
Let's see. I think it might have been Gunsmoke. If you're watching it, you know what show Festus was on. Put it on there for us. I'm thinking it was Gunsmoke. Let's see. We covered some SummerSlam and some Monday Night Raw. I don't know if anybody on there is watching that likes wrestling. If you do, tell me. I can talk about wrestling for a good while.
Okay.
That's Festus. Let's see. Oh, I was right. Festus is from Gunsmoke. Hey, you're almost like young Jamie there. You don't listen to any Joe Rogan. I'm sure you're too young for Joe Rogan. Do you? Yeah, that's so you know who Jamie is. He's his producer. And when they ask questions, he'll Google stuff real quick and get the right answer. So that's exactly what I need Spencer to do. My sister listens to, she'll listen to like some true crime podcasts. And I forget what the name of the one is. Hell, it's the most popular one out there. It has the two women on there. And it's a good podcast. But when I've been doing the Jeff Fishing blog for going on, well, it was 5 years in June since my first one. I have something on with that cut bait. I keep saying that. I just want one. My dad said that's what he liked about catfishing was like you get a true bite, except for we get a lot of where it must not be catfish because that ain't a true bite. Anyway, I told her, I said I felt like what I needed after listening to some of the podcasts that she liked is for me to have somebody on here that anytime I would say something about like, oh yeah, you should hook the bait this way or this is a good spot to cast, that the other person that's on here would be like, wow, that's such a great idea. I didn't think about that at all. Because on that podcast you listen to, you had the main girl that done the talking, and then she had her sidekick, and everything that main girl said, the sidekick never pushed back at all.